And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of mankind for their own selfish reasons. How is everyone today? I'd like to thank everyone for just joining and being with me here every day. We'll look forward to covering like what the latest is on the front lines. I'm going to do something. We've been changing up the format a little bit here too. So Tank is coming on usually later, roughly 10 minutes from now or so on. I'm trying to get on a little bit earlier, but I find myself going through all the prep material ahead of time, and it takes me a while. And so then I get distracted because someone makes a phone call, or I gotta respond to this or that, and all of a sudden, oh my, it's time to go online and broadcast. So I was thinking maybe it's a good idea is actually just to go through it live, in the beginning, waiting for when Tank may pop up on, and get an update there, and then we can go from there. So I think that's what we're going to try out today. I would also like to thank there have been people making contributions, and I appreciate it. Actually, you never know how long it's going to take to get things done, and in this new project. And though it is very close to being done, we're in the testing. Just handling little tiny odds and ends errors that pop up. We're not launched yet, but the gold grains are ready to fly. No problem getting the gold grains. It's just it's more or less the functionality of the system for commissions and things like that. There's a point system involved, and so we had some back and forth on that. And so we did testing yesterday and had to correct some things, and it's set for more testing today. So I'm gonna get right back to that after this. But anyway, the contributions that came in were basically what was needed at this time to cover some basic expenses, power, Wi-Fi, those kind of And anyway, so let's talk about a couple of things. Now, this impeachment hearing or impeachment trial is set to begin on the 21st. Maybe it's the 22nd, but I think it's the 21st. They've picked their managers. And it's interesting they call it managers, right? This USA Incorporated, right? It's all about managers, right? It's about chief executive officers of the corporation. You're hiring managers as their title just happens to be representative or senator. So anyway, they have the impeachment managers from two sides, and it's kind of hard to see which way it's going to go. They say that Mitch McConnell and a lot of the senators say they want to make it short. I do not know if this is going to be something this short or it will extend on all the way up into the election. Really, it can go either way. I tend to think it's going to be shorter. I think that Trump wants to bring forth the witnesses. This is really turning things upside down because literally it's a violation of the Constitution for the House of Representatives to basically put forth articles of impeachment without the crime of high crimes and misdemeanors. There is no crime mentioned. These ideas of saying, well, we don't like you, so we're going to impeach you, is not in the Constitution. It's unconstitutional. And it should be literally thrown out based upon that, or at least taken to the Supreme Court. And Rudy Giuliani had suggested that. I would say that we could see both things happen, where the trial proceeds at the same time as they're going to the Supreme Court to basically have it thrown out, because it is without merit, without abiding by what the Constitution says. So how can you go forward and do a trial? Now they may, as I said, they may simultaneously go on, and but what's interesting, it could possibly finish the trial, be acquitted, and then still have it thrown out by the Supreme Court, just for the sake of the presidency. So anyway, that seems to be all that's being covered in the news. I did catch up on a few things on what's going on in Hong Kong. A good little documentary I saw that put together all of us with embedded reporters, right, that were there in the streets with the people and what had happened, and really showed the violence that was going on, and it told the whole story going back like over a year, I think. So that would be interesting that these things are still bubbling up. On the let's say the high-end financial side, speaking of, because we are doing gold grain coins, so each grain is basically valued at whatever the spot price is for gold, for 1 grain of gold. So if you don't wonder what a grain of gold is, it's the smallest measurable amount, and we relate everything. So if you said that you looked at what value of an ounce of gold is, right, and it would be a troy ounce, and there's 480 grains in an ounce, and around 15, it's a fraction of by the gram. So if you look on the conversion between the gram, and this is around 15 grains in a gram. It's a little less than that, but just rounding, just to give you an idea. But the price of gold is going up, as well as Bitcoin. Bitcoin is on making another rise. It's back up to over 9,000. Um, so we're looking at this as in trading to be a way that we have trading pairs, right? So you basically look at you're matching Bitcoin with another coin and you trade them, right? And look what you can make. So we're positioning this as what they call a stable coin, meaning that there is some true value behind it that they're considering. Now that could be some stable coins are linked to the dollar, fiat. I don't know why it's stable, but I get it really. But it's really vapor money, right? Fiat. Then you also have ones that are backed by crypto, and there's some that are backed by other assets such as gold. Now we're actually backed by crypto in a way, but because it's basically we have what we're really doing is a smart contract. Basically, each one is like a coupon to redeem for Bitcoin or another cryptocurrencies in the value of the spot market price of gold. So it's a little bit, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid situation. So we're not exactly fitting any one of those direct categories, but the effect is that it's gold grains on the blockchain, at the spot price. So whatever you want to do, if you want to get gold, and you go acquire gold, or you can get this coin. So that's also I moved right into a little bit of a spiel about it. Sorry about that. Try to stay focused on these things. But anyway, so the world financials, that's how I kind of got into it. So because we see the gold price is going up, and we also see that there is Trump has been making this positioning to make things go towards where the Federal Reserve would be literally nationalized, taken into the U.S. Treasury. These are the conversations going on. He's about ready to appoint 2 new people to the Fed, which are, let's say favorable towards gold. Now, Trump has already replaced, I think, let's see how many there. I think there's 7. I think he's replaced 4 of them. I think that's right. He's about ready to place 2 more. So this is, there's a definitely swing to take it over. So, people don't know it's a private bank, right? But we know in this audience because we've been tracking this and we understand what's going on, and that they're actually on the very highest level. That there is, changes in the world financial structuring, and the eliminating of this debt-based world where they control countries via debt. So it should be every country not trying to control other countries, but really doing the best for their own people. All right, and literally good neighbors, and making good deals, reciprocal deals, bilateral deals of trade between different countries. This is what we're really looking at. So anyway, we're off to a roll. Everything is looking good. So I think as I said, let's first let me flip some things around here. I'm gonna go ahead and realign my video here a little bit. And I'm going to share the screen this way. There we go. And we'll get rid of that one. Well, this is from my group on Telegram. I'm going to actually pull that up now too. Straighten this down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That should do it. So here's the Telegram group. This is the WWG1 WGA.love Telegram group. You can see that this is actually the URL for it. The t.me/WWG1 WGALOVE. Right? No dot in it. And of course, when we name it, we put the dot in it because that's the website, which is behind me. So we have people that are feeding in information into this group. And this is really the way in which that I'm starting to look towards getting my information. At least I'm trying to basically switch over to get off of the YouTube feed. It's almost like an addiction, really. This guy, Terrence K. Williams, he's a trip catching his stuff. He's I think I had some of his stuff on last, like a couple days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. Apologies for spreading fake news in this video, said Nancy Pelosi lost respect for the American people. Oh yes, he's just drinking his cup of coffee while she's talking.
Poets and others have used over time to place us in time, to emphasize the importance of time, because everything is about time, how we use it.
Why are you wasting our time? Is really the question should be asked. You know, look at his face. He's going along with that.
How we mark it. And today is an important day, because today is the day that we name the managers, to go to the floor, to pass the resolution, to transmit the articles of impeachment to the Senate, and later in the day, when we have our engrossment, that we march those articles of impeachment to the United States.
She said march them. Anyway, Terrence is about to make a comment.
Nancy, what in the world are you talking about?
All right, let's go on. Let's see what's next on the agenda here. All right, this is Twitter. Representative Adam Schiff sued by physicians for censoring vaccine debate. Interesting. So Representative Adam Schiff sued. All right, let's see. Let's click on that. See where it takes us. Bring this, make this a little bit easier to see. Make it bigger. This is on January 15th. The Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, along with Katerina Varelli, on the behalf of herself and others who seek access to vaccine information, filed suit in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. Plaintiffs allege that defendant Adam Schiff has abused government power and infringed on their free speech rights. Who appointed Congressman Adam Schiff as censor-in-chief? Asked AAPS General Counsel. No one did, and he should not be misusing his position to censor speech on the internet. So in February and March of 2019, Representative Schiff contacted Google, Facebook, and Amazon to encourage them to deplatform or discredit what Schiff asserted to be inaccurate information on vaccines. He then posted the letters and press release in the House.gov website. Okay, well, whatever. This is very interesting. You can see who is on the side of good and who's on the side of bad and things, how things are. So these characters are the same characters popping up again and again with an agenda. Right? We can show all the evidence to show that this is not good, even from their own documentation, the amount of lead and other things that are coming in. Oh, it looks like Tank has joined us. Hey Tank, how's it going?
You good, man? I'm listening intently.
Yeah. So I was saying that it looks like that that Schiff is and the others that continue to do the same things against humanity, right? On the front lines against anyone who's part of the cabal, the Illuminati and the deep state. They seem to keep with the same themes, right? And it's the same people over and over again making the attacks against we the people. So Adam Schiff, in this case, again, doing the same thing. So anything that we're picking out as our front lines, he seems like he's always there on the other side of the line, right?
Yeah, he beats people to the punch with his self-righteous indignation and ignorance. His self-righteous ignorance.
Yeah. Well, he's usually when I'm looking at the people in Congress, I'm putting always a fast food hat on them, right, so that I can get perspective on what they're actually telling me, because it's just a corporation. But with him, I always put the Pharaoh outfit on it, the Pharaoh headdress on it. But because he just seems to look ridiculous, but he's always acting as though he is king, or in this case, Pharaoh. So anyway, before you want to get into some updates?
I don't have any updates from Kim whatsoever today. We have been in meetings all day pertaining to the Organization of Lawful America and the various segments all over the country, and finding out some really amazing things, actually, that I did not know. Did you know this? This is really fascinating, that the attorneys that at the bar is actually a registered communist organization?
No, I did not know that.
I did not know that either. And it's actually, there was like whatever they got Manafort on was like the Foreign Agents
right.
Act of some sort.
Yeah.
Congress actually ran this in 2009, and it's current. I mean, they investigated who is the bar, right? And it went back to this communist organization. They declared it in court, and it actually goes. It actually is current all the way up. The current whatever recognition of it runs all the way through May of 2020.
So that means that everyone in Congress is a communist for the most part. They're either a communist or a doctor.
Yeah. Yep. Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I thought that was an incredible piece of incredible document to have. So we're starting to put up actual information on the Lawful America site that people can use, right, as weapons, so to speak. They can use, in cases and just in their own personal declaration in defense of their rights, right, of the Constitution. Basically what the oath of office is supposed to do. And that was one of them that came up, because I was really fascinated by that. I'm like, how is that a real thing? And I mean, it was a congressional hearing that they decided this, right? It's the 81st, I think it was the 81st congressional hearing where they talked about it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I'm still, I still find it interesting that in this impeachment inquiry, and they brought up their law professors, and the one that was trying to make a slam against Barron Trump, and Trump basically trying to make his son, a monarch by basically calling him a baron, that they brought up the Titles of Nobility Act, which, of course, is the amendment that they actually made disappear when they made USA Incorporated. So they literally replaced that amendment, the 13th Amendment, with a new one, which is one about the slavery, which actually made everyone into slaves, where they're kind of really telling people that they were not slaves, but actually enslaved the people. So very odd, and they got rid of the titles of nobility, which means, you can't be an attorney. That's a title of nobility, and be in Congress. So everyone is in Congress, and they're a communist. And so this government has nothing to do with what we all think it means. Well, for the majority of people.
yeah, it's interesting. I've just decided to reject any perverted usage of these words. Even citizenship, and even the fact that they tried to make us all slaves. Now, they don't have the authority to do that either. Right? So, no, we're not your slaves, right? But you are public servants.
Yeah.
And you are bound by a constitution. And you certainly don't get to come into a place where we, fought for our freedom and just declare us slaves.
Well, on kind of along those lines, what's going on in Virginia, right? We're tomorrow, I guess, going to have this Second Amendment rally. Or basically, they're there to lobby the government, and they've made this zone where they're not allowed to have any weapons. So I saw that what they're doing though is they're going to allow that the militia there is basically saying, okay, great, we're going to put 10,000 people, no weapons, on the inside of this, and we want to have 50,000 people with weapons outside of this little area they're not allowing. And I don't know if you caught this, but Trump actually has pulled one of his maestro moves and really disabled any, let's just say, cabal tactics, deep state tactics against those people. With two things. One, he disabled all the GPS for that area for that day.
Really?
So it's hard for those deep state actors that are out there, that are doing coordination, if they can't coordinate their people. So he disabled them in that way. Second, he made it a no-fly zone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I think the Patriots are.
I heard that there's a false flag planned by Antifa.
Yes. I think. I don't know exactly what it is, right? And I think that they're going to be searching everyone going in, right? So the question is that they're going to, I think the Patriots are going to be doing that as well. The Virginia militia are going to be searching people going in to the area. But it's just very interesting. I hope that it stays peaceful, because I think this was what they're trying to do, is create that scenario of where it's the reason for the government to have a crackdown, the reason to call on the blue helmets. Right? So can you imagine the governor of Virginia calling in the UN for help?
Oh my God! Yeah, that's a terrifying notion.
Yeah, but instead, instead you've got the Marines there. My guess. No evidence to that effect. I'm just projecting that if he called up the Marines, they're already in place and put wherever he needed them.
Well, yeah, and I'm very confident that this will be a non-violence event. Just my vibe on it, and I think it's actually going to be a pretty impressive display of power, actually, because obviously they want violence, right? They want to use it as just cause for why things are happening, and I think you might be able to expect some ridiculous news to go out, right?
Right.
Because the news loves to just jockey behind these kinds of things and be like, "Can you believe this?" And who knows what they're going to say? It's really, it's one of those things where I feel like the media, I think, is on thin ice right now. If they say anything stupid, disrespectful about Americans who are defending their constitutional right, that might be the spark that really lights people up on both sides.
Yeah.
Be like, wait a minute, these people aren't doing anything wrong, and I don't know how they avoid covering it, right? So you're going to have to cover it. So they probably try to do what they always do, right? Is carve out a little niche, and like when they make it look like there's a lot of people at a rally, there's nobody there, or when they they try to make it look like, oh, look how violent they are, you know. So I'm very confident though in the militia, right? Because the militia is actually defending something that they care about, right? Their home, right? It means something. They have families at home, right? They're not so in love with just having guns for the sake of having guns. They're like, no, you've overstepped your bounds. I mean, that sheriff who got up, his speech was great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he quoted the Constitution, verbatim, and it was very powerful. I'm sorry, the Declaration of Independence, I think he actually quoted. When governments overstep, that it's the right of the people to basically put them back in their place.
Yep.
That's not an exact quote, obviously, but
well,
so I think that's pretty amazing.
I think we're that the deep state really, I think, is underestimating, what the people will do, and overestimating what they think that they can do. I
agree. I think that they're expecting some kind of galactic, frequency interference of some sort. That they thought they could handle things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because these are all weapons and tools they've had access to in the past.
Hey, let me ask you a little on the galactic side of things. I listened to yesterday Lucid Dreamer, where it picks up Thomas Williams stuff and breaks it into little chunks. I got a couple of those yesterday. So one of them was that the Dark Prince, the one that was the head of the Black Sun, that he was supposedly killed like in, I think, 2016, but he actually was killed in December. Do you know much about that? And that he was one of the parents.
It's hard to say. Kim told me that she had the counterparts, right? Like, so I guess the equal and opposite of her, who is this Egyptian guy, she told me. But it's so hard to say, because, Kim will say a lot of things and doesn't want to tip anybody off. So I've heard about that. As far as food goes, I mean, Dark Prince sounds like it would be.
Well, that he was also one of the parents, right? No. This was that he had said Marduk was dead, Anu was dead, and he went down the line. But the who was left that was the head of the Black Sun group was the Dark Prince, and that in this this dividing up of the loot at the end of the year, this reformation process that they do, and they distribute it over the last week. I think it's the 21st to the 27th or something like that. That it was like the smallest harvest, that they've ever had, and but that Black Prince is now, I think he basically said that he was dead or something. But he also said he was one of the parents. Now, and I wasn't sure, but because I get crossed over, like, there's so many different stories trying to piece together, which is the accurate picture here. Was it the parents? Were they like those Egyptian pharaohs? Not like Schiff, but more like these 14-foot tall, odd body shape. The torso is upper and smaller. Abdomen section.
Oh, I mean, I know that the 156 there at the top, who, they were all, I mean, very few of them were human, and that they were definitely worshipped as gods, and they would interchangeably play different parts, in Egypt and other places around the world. That's why you have, these different images of gods, right? Like in Hinduism and, I don't know, I guess the Egyptian gods, the pharaoh gods, things like that. They were all, real rulers, like, who kind of staked their claim there.
Right.
So,
well, they had
it could be.
They had all the people there that would worship them, right, as gods, right? And
yeah. And there very well could have been this. I don't know what that being was. That entity was, some kind of a shape-shifting being that, disguised itself as a regular human either. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is so fascinating, man. It's like, I
Okay, I thought
we
might
get access to it.
I thought you might have a little bit more about that. Yeah, so I was going to go back and listen again because I was kind of caught up with doing this testing for the gold grain coins, and so it was kind of back and forth, and so that's interesting. So I'm very fascinated to see how this is going to turn out over this weekend, though, with the week with the impeachment coinciding with this event in Virginia. Everything leading up. It's like in this last 10 days of January. So
Yeah.
Would we see anything coming from Kim? In this time, how would that flow out, or is this stuff that's still going to be taking much more time?
Well, I mean, she said to me on Friday morning at like 9:50 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, that she said around 10 o'clock, at 10 o'clock my time on the East Coast, that they had finally relented and that they were going to work with us, right? Now, I asked her later that night, like, did they change their mind? And she hasn't responded. But that would make sense, right? Because if they are working with us, right, there's still nefarious forces out there who are trying to sabotage it, right? So she wouldn't tip that off, one way or another, whether they are or whether they're not, right? Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't know until we're free, and we have money in our accounts and we can move it. But I know the other option, which is also right now. I mean, this is like we're at the end of the month already, right? And she did say that she expected by the end of January. Now, so I know that she's also made other arrangements to be able to move money without any interference from them whatsoever. And she would so she can bypass it, but that's a much harder path because, when it's easier because there's already structures in place, and Thomas did say the other night that in Russia that it was the deep state that stepped down because they were expecting to get paid by the 15th, right? And the Rothschilds didn't come through. So that's why they all stepped down. Which I'm kind of like, could you please send that memo to our deep state so they find out and have them all step down?
Yeah.
Maybe when the impeachment doesn't go their way, they'll all step down as a protest. Would that be interesting?
Yeah, those are good words to manifest.
Yeah.
If they would just decide that okay, yeah, let's switch, let's get on the winning team now.
I've been saying this for a year, is that to do this the right way, you really have to recognize the people as the authority, right? And the people are the authority, and the caretakers, and the the keepers of the planet. We're the ones who are supposed to really be responsible to protect the planet, right? The guardians of the planet. And I guess this would be the guardians of Midgard, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the role we should play. Now, with that in mind, you have to have people in place that are able to allow or not allow the governments themselves to have money based on their conduct. Because governments are there to serve the people, right? Not like the Twilight Zone episode, like how to serve man, right? They're not there to serve the people. Like, they should be there to operate at the behest of the people and to protect them. That's their job, right? That's their oath, in the Constitution. Here and all over the world, really. I mean, that's what governments are installed for. And you see it in the disgusting things that have taken place all over the world. I mean, you're seeing these this radical Islamic belief, and all these women that they've taken out to, cleanse them of their impurities, and they're spraying them with like a super high pressure hose from like a car wash, right? Just and they're doing it with utter like disgust and disdain, and just as if these women are impure. These these gross human beings, these men I'm talking about, that have no respect, love, or appreciation for the value of war. Right? They don't deserve to be with them. And but these things, this type of behavior, which is so offensive to human nature, is so far beyond the scope of what we really are, that it can only be put there by programming, where you're programmed to think you have the rights, the authority, the superiority to do this to another human being. And that's who's in control of our governments, right? And they make those same decisions on a massive scale as they wage war against the people, as they send, young servicemen into battle for a cause that isn't even just,
right,
but have told them that it is, right? They've made us this, expansive empire, basically waging war with the rest of the world. And, and our soldiers, they were just there fighting for freedom, believing that what they're doing was in the best interest of the people. And then,
the people completely, since we're not there in those other countries where war is being waged, interesting word, waged, that they are, they don't get to see all the mayhem. They don't get to see the destruction. And so it's kind of just like, shown pictures, through video, and and then it's couched and smoothed over, and we just keep going on, and that's what really has to stop, right? And it's interesting to see where these things are going to lay out. That also reminds me of Tulsi Gabbard, right? And it's like they didn't include her on the debate stage, right? But I see on her her YouTube channel, right, and that she's in New Hampshire, and she's going from house event to house event to house event in people's homes, and broadcasting, talking out these things, and talking about the endless wars, and of course she's against Trump on what Trump is doing and all the rest of it, but from all of the those that said that are all the other mainstream media that's all agreeing that no one on that stage can beat Trump. They're all saying it, right? But if you wanted to pick one that had something, it would be Tulsi, right? And I have the feeling that she's going to do much better, in these early states than what they're what's going to come out. And I think they're going to take this impeachment hearing and everything is going to hit Biden. It's going to hit, and Veritas, Party Veritas, is going to be hitting Bernie, and who knows what's going to come out for the rest of them. Warren, she just lost with her little stunt with saying that Bernie says a woman can't be a president, right? That the open mic scenario where she knew what she was doing. It's just another lie attempt. So all of them are going to just tank, and I think Tulsi will come up. I'd like to see, even if Tulsi if she's not selected, that Trump would run with her as vice president. Just an idea.
I think it's a cool concept. It definitely would create a brand new level of unity. I'd feel better knowing that Mike Pence, who's repeatedly tried to sabotage the people and the president, was taken out of office. We know he is a pedophile. We have access to the video that we can put out on him, and I question why we don't. Because, at some point, they're really, Dan, I actually find myself in a stage of trusting the plan. Right?
Yes, trust the plan.
Which obviously, I have challenged the whole way. But the reason being is that I'm looking at all these different pieces, and I just feel like, well, first of all, I'm thinking about Congress, and I know we're all very, go, right? But you know what?
You're breaking up a little bit.
In the back of my mind, I keep thinking about.
Tank, you're breaking up a little bit.
Is that? Oh. How about now? Is that better?
Maybe. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah, of course, my
Maybe
internet.
okay.
It might have been my
Well-
internet because my internet. I got a little message popping up that says my internet was unstable.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so
Well-
I would go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Okay, so I was thinking about this with Trump. Is that, well, the reason why, to me, this impeachment hearing does have potential danger. Now, I have no doubt that he won't be impeached. There's absolutely no grounds. There's no laws he's broken. He's not even accused of anything, really. I mean, he's accused of, winning too much, I guess. But where it is actually something that is tragic in a sense, right, is when you have a massive mainstream media that they know that their goose is cooked, right? They know that there is information in their time to be able to just report blind propaganda constantly and lies and hold this position of hate. It's over. And then you have a Senate, which you have to believe is widely filled with corrupt individuals who are willing to do anything to hold into their position, right? So you have this potential that even if they weren't bribed, that they would just hold their ground, right? Thinking, if we all just stand here and do this and vote him down, we can all move forward, right? And where I have a problem is, why do we even allow this band of criminals to have a vote at all? Because at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, there's all of these people that are just obviously corrupt. I mean, what has been happening? It's beyond ridiculous. There's no basis for what they're doing. Yeah. So with that in mind, they've already gotten this far, and it's ridiculous, and the whole world sees it's ridiculous. But so I'm just watching to see what happens. To me, I'd just rather shut it down.
I hear you. Well, let me go back to the plan, right? Trust the plan. So looking into my crystal ball and doing, looking into my looking glass, I'm going to peer out into the future and see this with Tulsi and Trump, is that with the ending of these wars around the world, right? With Iran, with North Korea, with everywhere in the Middle East, and the complete, stopping of everything before even the election happens, right? So we'll see like all this coming into peace within the next 6 months, and then and Tulsi says, well, Trump did it, so yeah, I support him. The Democrats are obviously not the Democrats of JFK, and the Republicans are not the Republicans of the time of JFK, right? So
right, sure.
It's really about making a new party, bringing people together, and that would be a good reason for her to come on board. That's what I see, is there's a path there for that to happen.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, it'd be definitely something different. So we'll I'm in support of it.
So I also just another plug for Jimmy Dore. I don't know if you've seen his comedy stuff, but I like watching his stuff. Now he's definitely a supporter of Bernie, right? and very left leaning, but his comedy is the same, things that we laugh about, everyone can laugh about, because it's all coming from the side of truth, right? And this is the side we need to be on, right? That when we start talking about what left and right and conservative and progressive and all this kind of stuff, we got to throw away all those labels and just get down to what we really want, right? And
sure.
And if it really is about universal health care, all right, if that's what it is, okay, well, there's a way to do this, but we got to rethink the entire system, not the medical system, not just the insurance system, but the complete money system, about the business system. We have to rethink something that basically works for everyone. Right, and I think that's where we can really start just casting off all of these old labels because they really don't make any sense, you know. Anyway, but on watching Jimmy Dore, it's like he is someone to pick up and watch and get a good laugh out of what's going on, right? But I do cringe when they start talking about the topics that I'm not for, right? It's like open borders, or
Right.
or Medicare for all and all this kind of stuff, because it's if we're on I don't think it's the point is to not have immigration, right? It's just to make sure that we know who's coming in and don't let people in that were bad in the other places come in, right? We need, so I don't think there's really an issue there, right? The issue is the way the press pushes an agenda. So the enemy is the press, because they're not the free press; they're the enslavement press.
Right. Yep. I mean that's wow. That's a good term. The enslavement press. Right. Yeah, they are not free. I mean, and I don't appreciate this. That they were attacking President Trump, and they were saying, oh, he has the nerve to tell Iran to allow the press there, but he's constantly trying to hurt the press here in the United States. It's like, no, he's not, you sham artists, right? Like, there's just no integrity whatsoever, I feel like.
Oh, there isn't. I mean, there's nothing. You can just tell. Look at all of the best things that he's doing, right? And there's not one good thing that they can say. I had this other idea. It would be really great this April, the 1st of April, that Trump comes out with all of the opposite opinions, everything that the press wants, everything that the Democrats wants, and lays out his new agenda for his campaign, right? Open borders, vaccinate everybody, Medicare for everyone on the whole planet, right? And goes over, what else? The Green New Deal, he wants the greener New Deal, right? And plus lays it all out, right? Right? And the press will just say everything about that is bad, right? without, and then then on the 2nd of April comes out, April Fools.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll fly, but
oh well, it probably won't fly, but it's fun to think about. So it's worth a meme.
It's worth a meme. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they in any way want to see him successful, right?
Right.
So it's like it would just be another reason to defy him, basically. So.
Oh yeah, of course. April 2nd would be a wonderful day because they would say, well, we were just doing April Fools ourselves when we were attacking him.
Right. That's what's amazing. I think that the hardest part is to me is like I just cannot fathom that people still go along with it. It's like
I don't think they are
ridiculous.
I really don't think they are. I think that the amount of people that really go along with it are such a small portion, and I mean I think we're really talking maybe around 3%. That low. I'm not saying that there's not sympathizers, right? That will that go along with just shake their head up and down, but don't believe a word of it. That's probably more like about 30. That's like 30%.
Bobbleheads.
Yeah, they're just going along with it because that's what everyone in their group, right? They're in the groupthink, and so they don't want to offend, their other people where they're all probably in the same group, all feeling the same thing, but no one will step over the line.
Right. Yeah. Which it really is. Like, to me, like, that is one of the most alarming things about all of this. It's like the Constitution is made up of principles, right? Principles don't change. And I talk about this all the time, that I'm loyal to principles, not to people, right? And I think about this now, the whole idea behind, America, right? I guess ideally, I'm an idealist, is we have these principles and they're self-evident. We don't even have to explain them. There's fundamental rights that we're all afforded. That's part of being, a member of this republic. And we all agree that we're going to live together this way as peacefully as possible. And we're going to make sure that each one of us has these rights. And I will fight to make sure that your rights are protected as you will fight for my rights to be protected, even if we like, different rock bands or sports teams or anything else, right? It's like the major debates that everyone, is talking about. If you worship God one way and I observe mine in a different way, the idea is I will fight for you to have that right? It's so simple. But they keep throwing these words around. Constitutional. It's a constitutional this. He didn't uphold his oath of office. And I find myself to be very offended by that. I mean, genuinely, it is something that to me is like, it is so profoundly ignorant. And I don't hear anybody get up, even these constitutional lawyers, they don't ever actually talk about what is said in the Constitution. First of all, this isn't a law. Why are you even allowed to impeach a president? You haven't even cited a law yet. You haven't proved anything.
Right.
You haven't done anything that demonstrates any kind of integrity, knowledge, or understanding of what the document is that you swore an oath to uphold and protect.
Yeah, I went over this, at the beginning, this broadcast, and that there is no law broken, right? They don't cite a law in the articles of impeachment, and since there is no high crime or misdemeanor, which is the requirement for the impeachment, the whole process is unconstitutional. And that's why Rudy Giuliani said that they would take this to the Supreme Court, for them to rule it unconstitutional.
Which I absolutely think is the right thing to do, no matter what happens.
And then the impeachment is not forever. Right,
because you actually undo it. It is a no impeachment.
But yeah.
Actually,
it's a no.
I don't know what the actual term is, but
unpeachment.
So, unpeachment.
I don't know.
We have unpeached him. Yeah. So all this to me is just it's just a tragedy. It really is. It's such a farce, and I don't know. I guess it's always
I still
been this way on some level.
I still think this is part of the plan. I think that the road map. I mean, I could see Trump goading them, pushing them to impeach him along the way. From that very first time when he had Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer into the White House on the border wall stuff, and he just promised them, all this money to spend on infrastructure and all this, and they're thinking, great, more money into their hands, right? And then he basically ambushed them in the office where he had the press there, and he badgered them, right? And he got them to fight him in front of the press. I knew that was just to get her to impeach him. I think he wanted it so that this would all be brought out. That's why I think there's this move for the trial, right, and to label everything, including everything about Biden's and Bermuda, and then all of the other. I can see Nancy Pelosi's son being called up as a witness. Like, what does he have to do with it? Well, because they start bringing in everyone else that has to do with the Ukrainian oil companies that are, U.S. politicians receiving money. They've also said this in Q. What if we were to, and actually Trump said it as well, both of them in tandem are saying that what if we were to look at the taxes of everyone who is in Congress and their family, extended family and friends, right? To see is there what's coming into their hands? What is this? I think that could be played out here as part of this plan.
I feel kind of like this could be potentially anything right now. I mean, anything could happen right now. because I'm watching that just this it's amazing right now. This we're getting in touch with this Dr. Shiva, right? And he's very into the science behind why vaccines are bad for you, right? He's really a reputable guy, right? But he's had some similar experiences as I've had with reaching out to people that are prominent and say they're going to connect and they're going to work with them, and then they don't come back. And then these are the same ones who seem to be leading the charge of vaccines, right? But they don't ever seem to win, right? And now we've put out this formula for everybody, and we're telling everyone, look, there's not even a question of are we going to win? This is the law, right? So there's a huge difference about what we're talking about, right? They get up and they're talking about, they make accusations against the president and other people. Oh, this is unconstitutional. This is a constitutional language. They just say that word, but they never cite what the Constitution says. But you'll notice Rudy Giuliani, he does all the time. He's always citing the Constitution. He constantly reps it in section this, it says this, and he's backing up what he says. You ever see Nancy Pelosi do that? You never see any of them actually use the law because they don't know it, right? They don't read it. They don't have any knowledge left, completely just kind of hanging out there in a way that's going to be It's going to be embarrassing, but it's embarrassing that we've allowed them to even lead, to be in positions to have a platform for this long, But people are catching on at a massive scale. And you know what? I would take 50,000 anti-vax moms over almost anyone, because those anti-vax moms, women fighting to protect their children, are you kidding me? There is not a more formidable force in the universe, okay, than the love a mother has for her child. And you take that and you multiply it by 50,000, and you take those women and they're organized and they're knowledgeable and they're fearless, right? Because what else is there to fight for? Michelle Walker says this all the time. What else is there to fight for? If you will not stand up for your kids, what will you fight for? Nothing. And you're not. So all of these guys that are fighting to enslave us, to kill us, to commit acts of genocide, all that has to come out. Now, if this one piece goes down with the vaccines and this really gains momentum, that opens the door to take down the CDC, the FDA, fluoride in the water, chemtrails in the air. I mean, the whole world can change because, enough. These aren't things that we need to even have litigation about whatsoever. You're committing crimes openly. There's no legal way to commit a crime against the American people. You can't say that fluoride is poison on the toothpaste box and then dump it into my drinking water.
Right. Amazing, that one.
That one's amazing. I mean, you want to know why they're so cocky? Because they put out one study that it wasn't even accurate. It wasn't even a study. They said 4 out of 5 dentists say that fluoride helps your teeth. Well, but the actual study didn't say that. The study didn't say that, right? But people are still, I heard it in a sound clip. It's,
Yeah.
That was enough.
It's because the government and the press is not there protecting the people.
Right.
And that's what it comes down
exactly
to.
Right.
And we deserve to have the truth being told about all these things. And the special interests, make no difference. It doesn't matter that the dentists like fluoride. But by the way, the dentists don't like fluoride anymore. They realize that it's poison, and they're trying to shift away from it.
Yeah, I mean, they've caught on. They've caught on to some pieces here and there. They're like, wait.
I was at a dentist here. For the longest time, I've been coming to the dentist in the Philippines. Even when I was still living in the States, I wouldn't go to the dentist in the States because every time I go in, they wouldn't even clean my teeth. My biggest pet peeve, and I said, "Oh yeah, we clean teeth. It's only $50." I said, "Okay, great, I'll pay it." Go in, and all they do is they polish your teeth. And by the way, if you went deep scaling, it'll only take you, $1,000 or $1,200 to get that done. But that's what they used to do as normal cleaning of teeth, right? But they still did it in the Philippines for, $8. So I said I could fly to the Philippines and get my teeth cleaned and fly back for less than going to the dentist in America.
Wow.
No, it's serious. It was. I mean, I did it time and time again. You know, I said, "Oh, I need to get my teeth cleaned. I'm booked a flight to America, to the Philippines." It was round trip. It was anywhere as low as $600 round trip. You know, mostly it was just like 900 something there. So $600 to $900 round trip. But it compared to $1,200 for the deep scaling that they'd insist I needed. And by the way, you need fluoride. My whole young adult life, going to the dentist was always not even young adult, but young person, a youth. I'd go to the dentist and they'd say, "Oh, you've got gingivitis. You got gingivitis." I said, "Are you brushing your teeth?" "Yes." "All right. Are you brushing? Are you flossing?" I say, "No, I'm not flossing." "Oh, see, that's why you got gingivitis." It turns out it was a fluoride. As soon as because my gums were always bleeding my whole young life, right? It only until I literally found out about fluoride, and I was around 22 years old, something like that, and I started using toothpaste from India that had no fluoride in it. It actually was called meswak. It was a bark of a tree. It was so this oil from the bark of the tree that they put into a toothpaste is what I brushed my teeth with, and within 6 months my mouth became wonderful. Right? I went to the dentist. "Oh, you have no gingivitis." All I did was switch my toothpaste. So
Wow.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
kind of went off on on my rant against
No.
the U.S. dentistry business, and it's just remarkable. And the other part is that his insurance was the reason that this happened. It was the insurance companies that would pay a large amount of money for deep scaling. And what your insurance is a great idea, right? But when the government gets involved and they start putting things into place, and the insurance companies go along with it, they want to ratchet up the cost of it, right? Because it really just locks people, into having to have the insurance, because there's no reason that that a cleaning of your teeth should go from $20 to $1,200, except the insurance companies.
Right. Well, you got all the middlemen to pay down, so all the people in between have now got to be paid off, basically.
Yeah. And at the time, my daughter became a dental hygienist. I was complaining to her about it too, and explaining what it is. And I would occasionally find some old school satanic dentist. "Oh, you don't need."
Okay.
I says satanic. "Oh, you don't need any anesthesia." Oh,
Right.
that's for those newfangled dentists, right? Just sit here.
Newfangled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I think I found a dentist like that, and they're charged. They say, "Yeah, I cleaned your teeth just like old school ways." And so I went in, but no anesthesia. I said, "Oh," he said, "Oh, that costs money, but put anesthesia." Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, I survived.
Yeah, you know what? But I always think about this. Like, it's like people are saying this all the time. Like, well, look, they say, "Well, we get vaccines, right? And like we're all fine." It's like, really, are we fine? I mean, do you even know? I mean, do you even know what you could be? Well, no, you don't, right? Because you were forced vaccinated, right? Like, so you don't know what the damages are. And we're looking at our kids, and everybody's like, "Oh man, they're not engaged, and they're on video games all the time," but no one's being like, "Well, do you think that's because they changed the educational standards? They started a competition between men and women. They started dumbing down the whole education, and they made it so you needed 2 incomes just to have a regular home. And now there's not a parent home all the time with the kids, and we don't have dinner together anymore." you think all that contribute to it, that they've been plotting against us this whole time. So it's kind of it's like, well, have we really considered what's been taken from us? Probably not, because we don't know, right? Because there is nothing more tragic than unrealized potential. And to live in a perpetual state of not wanting to even explore what that is indifference. That is what has been created. We've all accepted it. And I think part of the reason why people have been so willing to accept it is the way the vaccines have been used, at least for the past 30 years, right? Since this no liability thing went through in 1986, because they have passed they've created 50 new vaccines since then that they mandate as it's convenient.
Right, and 200 on the drawing board, and then the next year will be 500, and the next year 1,000. Right. Because it's just free. It's just money for them. They inject this into you, and they get money for it, and the government paying. It's the same reason as the insurance companies, and the government get involved together, and the cost of things go up. Again, it's not that insurance is bad. It's just when the government gets involved with it, that institutionalizing it, causes the price to go up, and then you have to have it, right? And
we were talking to the woman who made the movie The Truth About Facts, right? These docu-series, and they set the standard. Really amazing. I mean, they were way ahead of this stuff, revealing it, right? And she was talking about it, and she was saying that, she was talking about the Rockefellers, how the Rockefellers came in to medicine, in the early 1900s, and they basically went out and did whatever research they did, right? And then they decided to invest in chemicals, right, or pharmaceuticals, and they completely ignored all of the other healing modalities, acupuncture and chiropractic and naturopathy and all these different, homeopaths, all these different ways of healing that had been, working forever, right? And they invested solely in the chemicals. Why? Because the chemicals superpower one molecule, and you can get immediate results that are shocking, both positively and negatively. And they realized they can manipulate humanity, and if they just focused on that, it'd be easier. Whereas if you looked at the body as a whole subject, what you would do is the body would always naturally heal itself if you constantly looked at it holistically. But if you just compartmentalize the body the same way you have the people, then you can control it, right? You can control how long people live. You can estimate, about what age they're going to get diabetes. They're going to start to break down and have heart attacks and stroke, because you can control, you're putting fluoride in the water, so you can make sure that, a certain amount of atherosclerotic plaque is built up in the arteries, right? So it about just when they get ready to retire, that their arteries are all plaqued up, right? And they just want to rest because they're exhausted, right, from working their whole life, and they'll have about 5 years left, and then that's it, right? I mean, that's kind of how it's set up to do. And or even worse, so they'll make it so you get cancer, which, there's so many cures for cancer, it's ridiculous. I mean, every time I turn around, somebody gives me another cure for cancer, right? But they killed off the 45 scientists who made it in the identified vitamin B17, right? And they've done that to others many times, right?
Yeah.
And this woman and her husband, who made the Truth About, I might get the Truth About Cancer, actually. Truth About Cancer, Truth About Vaccines, I think they might have both. But they have this vaccine documentary coming out. But they did this whole series on the Truth About Cancer. And they explain it is not what they say. It's not what's killing people. What's killing people is radiation poisoning.
Right.
It's like, how is that even a treatment?
Well,
how do we get there?
Right. Well, we're gonna kill the cancer, right? That's the idea. By the way, we're killing everything to do with your immune system along the way, but the cancer will die. Right. So. Right.
It's like you can tell somebody to drink a bottle of bleach and it'll get rid of the AIDS, right? But it'll also get rid of anything else you have in your body, including life, right?
That's another
You
thing.
won't have AIDS.
That's another thing Trump's going to throw on to his campaign. He'll end up curing AIDS by the end of the year.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
One more thing. Is that true?
I am. Yeah, it's true. I don't know about the time frame. I'm guessing at the time frame, but he's mentioned it half a dozen times that I've heard. He says, "And we can cure AIDS, believe it or not, and we're on it." He's said this repeatedly. So I think he's going to throw that on his campaign. You know, oh yeah, by the way, we just cured AIDS. Everyone has a. I hope it's not a vaccination. Here's a cure for AIDS. Here's a vaccination. Oh.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not going to be a vaccine, but you know, it is fascinating that you say that because, of course, like there is a cure for AIDS. There was an African doctor who was going around all over the place. He cured 760 people or something like that from AIDS. Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting. It's like, yeah, we know there's definitely a cure for AIDS. You know, there's cures for everything. That's the thing that is so that makes all this so tragic. It's like why don't people have access to it? And the only conclusion that anyone could possibly draw, it's like, wait, there's two conclusions. The first one is you're a liar. You're a liar for saying that, right? That's the first conclusion. But if you take that option off the table, okay, no, I'm not lying. So what's the only other option? Well, the only other option is they are trying to kill you. All of us. That's the only other option. Now that is something that really has to be brought into the mainstream discussion. It's something that we've got to stop hiding from on the mainstream platforms. I no longer agree with holding back this information on a larger scale. You know, I mean, not that we ever have, you know, like you and I, but there needs to be a real conversation about crimes against humanity taking place right now in the United States. I mean, because these are no small things. These are massive, like, genocidal plans. And if you just look at, you know, the approximate the kill numbers from vaccines, every premature heart attack caused by fluoride, all of the medical deaths from pharmaceuticals that were unnecessary, you know, all that stuff. It's all just it's a new form. It's subtle genocide, just a little bit of genocide,
just a little bit. Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's part of the conversation. You know, we got so much to do. So, you know, I was discussing, you know, earlier, it's like how you can, you know, create a whole new system, right? Where the doctors, for example, you know, what would make them want you to go to other doctors? Like, hey, you know, I'm a medical doctor, but I want you to go see this chiropractor. Hey, I want you to go see this herbologist. Hey, what would make them want to do that? Is if you remove, if you make the their profitability about your health, not on what they can push into you.
Right.
Right. So, if there was a system that we knew what we're trying to do is create healthy people, right, and that the medical industry would be about that, you know, what could we do? You know, which would support all the other modalities of health. You know, we could create that system. Right. So, you know, but it gets into the conversation of what are all these other things that they've been doing to society, right? All this darkness that they've created, right? Everything around us, you know, it's like it's surprisingly we're so well adjusted anyway as the human race is, you know, that we relatively peaceful as people, not in the governments, but as peaceful. You know, there's, you know, the crime rate's gone down everywhere. You know, murder rates go down everywhere, but in certain areas where you get, you know, where they're trying to create more of these things, you know, they're hyping it. So anyway, we've got a lot of work to do. So, but I'm ready.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm ready. And I'll tell you, I feel more confident about that now than ever. That um, I often hear, this dissenting voice that this is my favorite line from the great debaters. The debate coach is asking them over and over again. He's like, "Who's your enemy? Right? Who's your opponent?" And finally, the answer is, "I have no opponent." He's like, "Who's the judge? God's the judge." And why don't you have an opponent? He says, "Because they are merely a dissenting voice from the truth I speak." And that is exactly how I feel about all of these haters out there right now. They're not even a factor. They're not even an opponent.
And
We're
again,
speaking the truth. The truth has no opponent. It is the truth.
and the thing is there really is not as many of them as they make themselves out to be. They really are a very small portion of ever. It's literally 3%. It is such they make themselves look like they're the majority, but that's just because they have the press on their side. All right? They don't. They can't.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they can't even tell. The people in the press are so bought into their own stuff that they don't even know that they're not the majority. They think they are.
Right. Yep. That's the truth. That's amazing. So,
All right.
it's all just kind of falling apart around them is what I see. I mean, Ted Cruz, man. I mean, Ted Cruz has got more swagger. Like, all of a sudden, he's cool. He's got, like, a cool beard now, man. He's up there talking. He's like, "Listen, bitches, we're coming to get you." He's so cocky right now. And it's fun. Like, I appreciate it, The Republicans who stood with Trump, they deserve that. They deserve to be a little cocky right now.
Well, it is interesting that everyone's growing a beard now. We got Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. Everyone's going for the beard look now. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Hey, catch the wave, buddy.
I mean, I don't know if I'd look Amish. If I do.
I look a little Amish, I think, because I don't like having a mustache, right? I just don't like it. So.
But mine doesn't really grow, so I mean it does, but it's very. I mean, here, literally, a month later, I'd be like Santa Claus,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
All right. Well, I think we're good for today. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I'm satisfied. We're good to go. Everything's looking great. Tomorrow night, Dan, I am not going to be able to make it, so I just want to give you the heads up now. So,
okay, all right.
With my son. So, but hey, you have a great night, everybody. Appreciate you, Dan.
All right.
Out of New York.
Goodbye, everyone, and be sure to go to the Telegram accounts and get connected to the Lawful America group, the WWG1 WGA Love group, and then we go to the website, wwg1wga.love website, and register there. You can register for free or do $1.11 a month, $8.88 a month, $9.99 a year, or many of the other selections there for just drop in a load of cash donations, which have a tendency to come in at the right time, as I mentioned earlier today. Got one, and it was right amount, right time. Getting close to that. And also, actually, before we go, let me just say, I wanted to bring this up earlier. Let me see. Lawful America. What is the link here? Oh, I don't see the link. So anyway, I've been bringing in a lot of the news articles from here. And so I just want to say it's a good group to join. I don't see the link, and they should have a link there. But anyway, I'll find out about why there's no link there. And we'll get that out to people. Unless it's supposed to be a small group. There are those groups. So anyway, I appreciate everything for everyone's been doing. I look forward to coming back tomorrow and see you on the front line.